Big Jim here, and I know a lot of you people out there know that I build bows, and I use some pretty fancy woods. I'm trying to find something that has a little bit of impact here, but you know, I sell a lot of these woods. I get people, they call me up and they apologize, they don't want to bother me and say, hey Jim, I know you've got this or that, and was just wondering if you wouldn't mind selling a piece. But quite honestly, I buy a lot of it just so I can resell it, and that's what it's all about, so I can buy more of it. I joke about it being a fetish. It's a beautiful piece of lead wood, and it's just like it sounds. It's incredibly heavy. Unfortunately, you guys can't feel how heavy it is, and that's half of the impact of the wood is being able to hold it and the feel of it. It's amazingly heavy. But getting to see what the texture is like, so you can't pick up half the beauty, the other half of the beauty either, by seeing it over the film. And I've got a lot of wood here in my shop, lots of wood. Nothing like some of the monstrous warehouses, because I don't stock ugly wood, at least not on purpose. Most of that stuff ends up in a burn pile. If I end up getting it by accident, because I have to buy a lot of wood at one particular time, I generally weed through that stuff and throw it out. Or, some of the stuff ends up getting used for different purposes. I cut most all the time, if it can be bought in lumber form. I will cut our own veneers here. We sell veneers, lots and lots of veneers. But sometimes certain woods are not available in any other fashion but veneers. So we process those, get them cleaned up, and take the knife marks out of them, get them where they're usable for bowyers and whatnot, so that the knife marks and all don't show up underneath the glass, and we take the oxidation off the surfaces of the veneers and whatnot. We also like to have the wood in house so we can get it dried, and if you buy a piece of wood from us, you know what kind of condition the wood is in. If it's dry enough to use, or if it needs some more time to dry. Most people really don't know whether or not the wood that they're buying is dry. They ask the wood supplier, how wet is this wood? Oh, it's been drying for a long period of time. Well, he's trying to get rid of a piece of wood too. And if he tells you, yeah, it's, I don't know what it is, then what's the chances of you buying that piece of wood from him? Unfortunately, the woods that we use are so incredibly dense that there's no real good way of being able to measure them. And you have to use a educated guessing system to determine the true moisture content. Moisture meters can only measure the depth of the pins that are on them, and even at that, if you don't have a way to adjust the numbering system or for the density of the type of wood that you use, they don't accurately give you a moisture content in the wood. Plus you have to adjust for temperature for the area that you're in, and if you can't measure the core, well, then you're not going to find out anything accurate. So woods that frequently get a bad name for being oily and cause delamination really have nothing to do with oils in them. It's all about the moisture content, and again, you could be using them if you could find out what the moisture is. So I pride myself in at least being able to inform you of what the actual moisture content is of the wood that you're getting, or whether or not it's usable. So here's a pile of walnut that I've cut up, and every bit of this walnut's too wet to use, but I haven't had a chance to process it. So we've got it all wrapped up here, and most of this will probably go into a vacuum kiln, which is a pretty mild way of drying it so as not to cause damage to the wood. And then a lot of it after that will be stabilized we sell a lot of stabilized wood so that it's strong enough to be used for riser wood. We also sell fiberglass and phenolic and G10 reinforcement so that you can do some fancier things with your bows. Make that extra special bow so you make either your customers or yourself happy. You know, have a bow of a lifetime, or several bows of a lifetime if you're like the rest of us, have a bit of an addiction to bow building or bow owning. So I'll come back and rewrap that up. But you know, here we have a bin full of, this is kind of the leftover bin. This is just a few veneers of the past. It's odds and ends that don't have mates to them, onesies and twosies, but just some of the stuff that we had left over that didn't have mates and didn't turn out to make decent bows. This was too thin. I use those in some limb tips, not too thin as far as thickness, but too narrow. Wasn't wide enough to do limbs. Here's some shorts or narrows. A little bit of both in here. These are veneers that were cut for the cut and ground for the Bear limited edition bows. So we do a little bit of work for everybody. Some snakewood veneers, but we have all kinds of things in here. And you know, if you find that you're in need of something and you know you can't find it on our website, we're striving to put more and more stuff on the website. Sometimes we have a hard time keeping up with that because we have all kinds of things going on, including lots of bow building of our own. You know, some beautiful quilted maple. This should be on our website. Some Texas ebony. Beautiful wood. A lot of stuff that people aren't familiar with. And unfortunately, it's hard to know what this stuff is going to look like when it's dry. But I typically would not put anything in here for sale that does not make a beautiful bow. It may not be the fanciest bows, but sometimes people don't have the money for the most expensive woods. Here's some Goncalo Alves, some of the most attractive, heavy curly Goncalo Alves I've ever seen in my life. In fact, it's so amazing. I mean, not that Goncalo is necessarily one of my favorite woods, but it's so unique for Goncalo. If I didn't know that's what it was, I'd have a hard time believing that that's what it was. It's such a super tight curl. Absolutely gorgeous. So this is the type of thing that we like to do. Find something that's out of the ordinary, extra special, beyond compare. And that's the type of stuff that we like to keep in stock. Monster piece of Buckeye burl. This will turn into a bunch of big riser blocks just as soon as we can get down to cutting it up and get it stabilized. So you'll have to stay tuned. You know, we'll just as soon as we get time to do it, we'll start getting this stuff on the website. Here's some Asian burls that we have here. Asian walnut burl, drying out. Truly amazing stuff. Asian almond burl. Well, this is Sindora burl. Here's some Asian almond. When I'm not hunting animals, I'm hunting wood. This is probably what I love to do more than anything. Big Jim the Wood Freak. So if you have any questions, send us an email, give us a call. We'll do the best we can to help you find a piece of wood of your dreams. Check us out at any one of our social media profiles or at bigjimsbowcompany.com. Thank you very much.